All right, hello, sketchbook heroes, and welcome to Wrap to Draw, the step-by-step approach to help you observe and draw anything you see. My name is Eladio, and I am so excited to be part of your journey. I truly believe anyone with a desire and a will can learn how to draw, and my promise and mission is to help anyone get through the obstacles that can hold you back. I personally help you break through these barriers, especially if you have it in your heart to make the world a better place. So if you want to help make the world a better place, I want to help you gain this skill, because this skill is amazing, being able to draw anything you see. So here we go. Today we're going to be, we are in week 4, and it's actually proportions. So we're going to talk a little bit about proportions, just very little bit, and actually get into the drawing. Proportions, very simply, is how big something is compared to something else. We have ratios. Actually, we already have my screen being shared, so why don't we go ahead and go there. We have ratios. Sketchbook hero again. Ratios, and we have the ratio test, which I think we will do today. I think maybe we'll do that as a thing. So the ratio test is the second week, and it's right here, ratio test practice. We'll be doing that. We'll be doing some simple ocean animal drawings, and then we'll be doing the ratio test or practice. And then after that, we will be doing watercolors. That'll be around 8. So stick around. That's what we have for today. Welcome. All right, let's see how many members we got today. We got 13. Exciting members. So we're gonna, if you go to our website here, I'll put it in the chat right now. You can see simple ocean animals. If you click on that, that'll take you to this image. This is the image we're going to be drawing today. I can get that and put it in the chat. So we'll be drawing these images. We'll be talking about proportions, and we'll be drawing some of these. If you want to draw all of them, or if you want to rearrange them, use your imagination, get creative, and change the, there's a lot of things you can do with it. Depends on what level you're at, where you're at. So we're taking it to where you're at, whatever level. So we're starting off simple. As you can see, these simple fish, and then we'll go on to, so we'll spend about 20 minutes on this, 20 minutes on this drawing, and then we'll spend another 15 minutes probably on the test, and then we'll share, and then we'll get into watercolors if you want to stick around, or if you want to say, oh, okay, enough drawing for today, we'll call it a day. So why don't we go ahead and start that? Let me put that in the chat. I already have it printed down today. Let me see, where's the chat? Where's the chat? There it is. There we go. Everyone, make sure it's on everyone. There it is. There's the link. There's our drawing. We're going to go here. Let me share. Let me make sure my screen is not there. Turn that right side up. All right, we're going to start. Oh, when you're getting feedback, it's good to be a turtle. You want to have that hard shell. You want to have that hard shell when you're sharing your work, not worrying about the feedback. You want to have that, but you still want to have that soft inside. Be soft on the inside, and then be willing to stick your neck out. Let's see what we're going to use today. Should we use I'm going to use a pen, because that's what you should kind of be using. My grease pencil also doesn't erase, so that's a good thing. So it's a good habit to get into experimenting. We're going to use a newsprint paper. This is my newsprint. Let's see my other drawings here. Let's start right here. Let's start off with very simple. For those of you who are starting brand new here, we're going to start off with the fish, very small fish here. I'm not sure if we're getting this. I don't have that double screen yet, so hopefully we'll see maybe next week. While we're saying that, well, actually, we're really close now. We're going to use a pen, see how this pen is working. There, it's working good. All right, so if we're looking at this fish, you can see the height and the width. It's a little bit wider, and it's almost like a football shape. You want to look at what you're going to draw and kind of think about what you're going to draw before you draw it. See how it is. It's a really small fish. I'm gonna draw it right in here. Let's try to get it together. If you want to draw any of the other ones on your own, we are going to spend till 7, what did I say, 7:25? 7:25, yeah, 7:25. And then we'll spend some time on the test or the practice, ratio practice, and see how you guys do. So I don't know if anybody has on their own. All right, so let's do the fish. Fish, almost a circle shape, but it's just a little bit wider, and it's almost like a football shape, wider. There we go. Is that good? How's it looking? Closer. A little arid, extra dry. All right, so it's got a little bit of a football shape. So everything's made up of shapes. Everything's made up of shapes, and you got to see and analyze those shapes and start from big shapes to the small shapes. So the biggest shape I see is that shape. And then from there, I can start adding the other stuff. It's got a fin up here, up on top. So yes, definitely for 14-year-olds and younger, if somebody wants to invite a 14-year-old. I'll try to make this for everyone, really start from 0 and then take you up and see how far we can go. All right, there we go. Make the world a better place. Just make somebody smile. That's huge too. Here we go. So there's the top fin. Here's our football shape. We'll get the back fin. Do the back fin. Make an ocean scene here. It actually probably, if I do it on different paper, newsprint is definitely not good for watercolor. But you can give it a try. I know when I first started doing ink, I did it on bond paper. And that was quite a challenge, but I took on the challenge and I could see that the mistakes were okay. And I learned from them. I'm like, okay, the paper really wrinkled. And I was like, wow, why is it doing that? And then I learned, okay, like, okay, I see the difference. So it wasn't really a mistake. It was just kind of, I really like what, I guess Edison's quote, you know, didn't it upset you? Because he tried like 1,000 different things to create a light bulb. And he says, wasn't it frustrating? He goes, no, I learned 1,000 things that don't work. You know, and it's so true. You gotta not be afraid to experiment, try new things, try different things. And have somebody, you know, a little bit, sometimes with experience, that helps too, because sometimes you need to have that really top view and have some direction and have like, okay, even mentors and looking for work that you like, wow, I really like this artist. And there's on YouTube, I mean, I've started following quite a few. There's this one, this one YouTuber I really like. It's called Sam Does Art. I think I have him, I'll have him on our Sam Does Art. He's really good. Sam Does Art. He does a little more digital stuff. And then there's another guy that I just found the last couple of days. He's really good too. I've actually been very motivated by him. So there's one fish, very simple. Let's do, which one are we gonna do next? You can do any one you'd like. I'll do the, let's see. Ooh, let's do the octopus. Octopus is, you can see the head is like a circle shape, that circle shape. And then the other parts, the body, how does that relate? You can really, this is really where you start seeing proportion, because you can see the head and then you can see the arms or the tentacles. It's very symmetrical. So if we do a line of symmetry down the middle, that'll help a little bit. This is actually good practice, drawing symmetry and trying to see things that are symmetrical and measuring out from the middle, like, okay, here to here. And that helps with faces, helps with a lot of different things. There's a lot of things that are symmetrical. And I do have some symmetrical exercises that eventually will be on our website as well. Now here I can see this tentacle is already kind of a little bit big. I can make it smaller, I have to decide, or I can make my head bigger. If I make my head bigger, I can probably make it bigger and get away with it, or I can make my proportion-wise, how big something is compared to something else. Let me see, I think let's try to make the head a little bit bigger. So if I just go around this way, just, yeah, that actually works. A little bit bigger. There we go. That keeps my proportions a little bit more accurate. I think this side's fine. If it's off a little bit, it's not a big deal. I can see it's probably, keep it on that side. Bring it over. Two tentacles, looks like a tooth, a giant tooth, rounded tooth. Tooth. There we go. All right. I got that shape. I got this shape. And then it's got the tentacles in the back, kind of fitting back here. Kind of trying to see how it fits. Notice how I'm doing it lightly. I'm doing it lightly. These little curves in here, almost circular shapes. I'm trying to see how it fits in there. Again, yeah, see how it all fits, the parts in the whole. That's proportions. I think that looks pretty good. And if I find the center of my circle here, I can see the eyes are pretty much on that center of my circle here too. So this is why I like drawing. Drawing is a puzzle. Every drawing is a puzzle. You're trying to figure it out, how it all fits. Oh, I have some drawings. I have some pictures that IPC sent. He's doing really well. He's been very busy. Right now he's on his that website. He was on there right now. The Clubhouse, that's what it is. He's got his little Clubhouse going. It's really good. So he's got his own thing going. Been really busy. He's on Clubhouse right now. Just saw his name. I'll share his pictures in a minute. Got 10 more minutes to go here. And you know, take your time. If you once the video is up, this video will be good, because if you want to rewind or if you want to go faster or slower. This is good. I think that's it. He's got a couple little dots on his head. I don't know if they're shiny or if they're part of his design. Yeah, actually, why don't I take a little break here and I'll show IPC's. Oh, nobody said anything. My octopus wasn't centered. All right. So, and if you want to shade, or if you want to actually save this for your watercolors, I like how some of you took some of our old drawings and put watercolors to them. Fantastic. Oh, how artists create space. That's also another one. How do artists create space? I've talked about space pods. That's on our website for today too. Oh, well, I take a little break and then we'll talk about pods after that. After that, we'll put that pods, space pods, as a reminder. Let me share the pictures that IPC sent, and then I'll share somebody like the cuttlefish. So I don't know. This is not a cuttlefish, but it's. I'll share another video. Here, let me see. Actually, why don't I share that first, because I have that right here. Let me see. There we go. And we're doing water as well. A little monster. Oh, animated. What? All right, that was that. Let's go to IPC. Where is he at? There he is. Yeah, so he's doing well. He's got some work that he's doing. This is he said he's been writing and painting like crazy. So this is some of his work. We can actually zoom in on some of this stuff. You can see IPC's at work here. Oh, that's from his book. There we go. I can see some of more of his paintings. So yeah, he's been busy. He does his caps. Singer there. And then his class, actually, let's see his class. I was going to ask him if I could share, but and then I saw him. Yeah, he's got his class, Proud Kids with their painting creatures, IPC. He's got them IPCing also. Oh, there's another little kid. doing the watercolors. There he is at work up in Chico. That's the last picture. What else did I want to share? No, I think that was it. All right, let's talk about space pods and talk about and then space. Even underwater, I mean, you have a surface, things that are, let's say a plane. There's always a plane, right? There's, if you can imagine the plane, and depending on the angle of the plane, where the back of the plane is, you can always think about where that is. If you do have a plane, let's say this is the bottom of the ocean. And then things that are lower are closer. That's space pods. So that's placement. P stands for placement. So things that are lower are closer, and things that are further up are usually further back. And with water and things in space, sometimes things that are further up don't always have to be, because things are floating. So you can have like bubbles in front, even though they're higher up, they're on that same vertical plane. But usually things that are higher on your paper are further back, especially if they're on the same plane. So if I had another octopus back here, it'd be higher up and it's further back. So that's placement. The O stands for overlapping, and you can see already some overlapping here. My second octopus is behind the first one. A little bit of overlapping. I'm trying to get that overlapping. Got to watch out for tangents when you do overlapping. Tangents is how things line up. So that's something you always have to be very careful as an artist, because you're trying to create space. And when you have tangents, that kills that spatial thing that you're trying to create that space. You don't know what's in front of the other. Sometimes you see like pictures where there's like a tree coming out of somebody's head. That's kind of like a tangent. It's because it looks like it's in the wrong place. You ever see those pictures? So O is for overlapping. D is for detail. Things that are further back have less detail, especially the further back you go, less detail. And then S is size. Things that are further back are smaller. So if I were to draw another octopus way back here, it'd be smaller, right? So that's size, pods. So those are the 4 things you're looking for and need to know and think about when you're trying to create space. Space pods. There we go. And there's an image of that on our website if you click on it. All right, let's draw another one. Let's see which other creature we're going to draw here today. Ooh, the whale looks interesting. Yeah, let's do the whale. Let's have a whale of a time. So we're going to do the whale. Let's do the whale. Let's have this and make sure I have space. Speaking of space, we'll use this space here. Make sure I have my whale here so you can see what the whale is. And I try to see the biggest shape I can see. Usually that helps. So if I look, it's actually like half a circle. So this whale is usually really big. So I'm going to draw a big circle here. This will probably be our last drawing that I do, unless there's any requests inside the chat for me to draw. Hey, draw this one, draw that one. My whale, I can already see, is going to cover this. Bring it down a little bit, make it a little bigger. You see, I can kind of imagine where it's going to go, how it's going to fit. The tail, I didn't even think about the tail. Let's see, let's go a little bit lower. Turn my phone on. Let's go a little bit smaller so my tail can fit, because the tail comes out of that circle out here a little bit. There we go. So it is half a circle. There's my circle. It's about half a circle. And notice how scribbly I'm getting, how scribbly I am. That's a sketch. It's a sketch. Then it comes up. Let me try to get that tail, because it's really just half a circle. And then the tail kind of fits right in here. How big the tail is. If you imagine this as a circle here, it's actually probably even less than a circle proportion wise. It's probably it's a little bit more of an angle down. Oh, this is good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect unless you're aiming for accuracy. I mean, you're aiming for, accuracy. It's a good thing. But getting it 100% accuracy is very challenging. It's a good thing, but you don't want to get frustrated, because it can get frustrating. Like here, I can already see it squeezing it in to make it fit. What's important is having fun. And what your intention is. What are you trying to do? It just, doesn't have to be exact. Say, okay, it's just a sketch. There we go. There's the tail. If I circle my half circle, I can see that this big fin is there, and then the eye is right about there. And then I'm going to erase by shading. A little bit of overlapping because my whale's in front. I'm going to shade that out a little bit so you don't see my octopus. The octopus garden in the shade. I'd like to be under the sea. The octopus's garden in the shade. I haven't heard that song in a while. I'm going thicker with my lines using this pen. And then you can really appreciate like having a bigger brush, a bigger pen. It's like, oh yeah. Or a marker to get these thick lines too. Or sometimes you just, okay, this is all I have. That's what I'm doing. I want these thick lines. I'd like to be under the sea. Here we go. More shade, speaking of shading. This almost looks like a cheek right there. Not much of an expression. Get my top line thicker. Get this line thicker here. Notice the flow, Once you get that flow too, this is really, the flow of your line, the thickness, and thickening it up. Feel free to draw bubbles. Feel free to plus your work, add stuff, take it to the next level. That's what it's about. You're always looking for that little plus. How can I plus my work? How can I make it just that one little plus? That's why you want to come to classes too, take and learn and study and follow other people's work. Do that research. Put it in Google. Say, hey Google, show me some paintings, watercolor paintings. Ooh, how can I help? Let's see what happens.
According to Wikipedia, watercolor, also aquarelle, is a painting method in which the paints are made of pigments suspended in a water-based solution.
Look at that. Yeah, we live in incredible times. Oh. More watercolors. Oh, there it is. Oh, I can't. Let's try to make it bigger. All righty. If I want to continue with the shades, so that's another practice. That's level 3. I don't know what it is. Level, we'll see. I actually created a badge for IPC. I created a teach badge for IPC. I'm going to be creating more badges. That was, and actually, we'll see. Actually, we can create a badge for today. That'll be our first badge. Our first badge will be the ratio badge, learning to see ratios, and that'll be our test. We're going to be doing it. It is 7:25, so it is time for the test. I don't know if you want to add some of the seaweed, make a scene. Ooh, the little seahorse there. Create a story. Make this octopus angry. Add a little mouth. This is where I would talk about emotions and feelings with my students. Say, hey, well, what makes you mad? What makes you angry? Why do you think this one is angry? And, talking about your feelings, especially nowadays, it's really so important. with this COVID thing, a lot of times we forget and we hold these feelings in and we don't know. And drawing and art kind of can help with that stuff too. Kind of express yourself. Oh, this he's angry because this whale is in his face. And this one's like, whoa, surprise back here. What's going on? There we have story all of a sudden. All of a sudden we have story with our picture. Capturing ideas. Another good reason why you want to learn to draw. You can have an idea and just try to capture it. Ideas are fleeting. They'll fly away. You got to capture them. All right. Okay. Let's go to our website. I almost even want to go dark with my lines. Let me explain the ratio test. So if you want to continue with I'm going to give you a choice. If you want to continue with your ocean scene, or if you want to do the ratio test. Let's see, I'm going to explain the ratio test. What is the P in the pods? Again, the P is placement. That's the first one. P is placement. So placement is things that are lower are closer. Things that are further back, that are placed further back, are further away. So if I were to put another octopus back here, he'd be further back. That's placement. So that's P for placement. Even further back, way back there until they get really small. Oh, can you see that? There it is back here.
Eladio, would you mind showing the scene again and the little pictures?
This one?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Actually, why don't I go ahead? I'll take a little break and I'll put this. Actually, why don't I do that? I'll actually go to share my screen and give you the actual picture. I did put it in the chat, but I'll share my screen and actually share that picture. There it is. That would probably look better. That's probably better there. Close that. Move this because I've noticed this comes out when I record.
Oh, the bar in the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. F11. No, F11 now. F11. There we go. That's even better. All right. So I'll take a little break, a 1 minute break, turn my air on because it's getting a little warm in here. So play with shading, play with other stuff. This is where it's fun, actually, where you can take it above what you're copying and not just copy. Oh, there's this really good. Let's see, you can screenshot it. If you'd like to, where did I put it? I know where I put it. Did I put it in my notes or here? I forgot where. Oh, it's all good. All right, well, let's just continue. There we go. So if we go to our website, we can go to week 2. We have our ratio test practice. If you click on that, that takes you to this doc. I have, this is the practice, but there's also a page 2, which is easier on your printer. It's not as dark. So if you want to print page 2 out, we have somebody here. There could be myself. And it's just drawing these. So that the assignment is draw the following shapes, aim for accuracy. That's part 1. And part 2, aim for creativity. Creativity is actually the funnest part. Part 1 is a tough one because you're like, oh my gosh, you're trying to get for accuracy, and that can be a little stressful. But part 2 is the fun part, and that's the part I think I used to forget in my classes. And we should not forget. It's aiming creativity, having fun with it. So on part 2, on a new sheet of paper or on the back, let your mind wander. Do not worry about ratios or accuracy. Instead, use your imagination and let these shapes inspire you to create new worlds. There's no rules. Your only limitation is your imagination. So stretch your creative side. You can do it. That's it. Let's see. Oh, I can fix that. There we go. That's it. So let me print page 2 out, file, and then have you try to do this on your own. I'm going to try to do it myself. All I need is page 2. Oh, let me go back to my settings. Paper size, scale, double. I'd love to be. YouTube is going to cut that song out. There you go. All right, let me see. I want page 2. Yeah, page 2. Pages custom 2. You can just also just draw it from your screen wherever you feel more comfortable, or you can do it from my screen here. I can make this full size, and let's see. I can press F11, and then I can zoom in also. I'm printing page 2 out. Oh, it's really light. This is good. It helps save on ink. Trying to be eco-friendly myself. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. It's bigger. Get it bigger. There we go. Our 10 shapes. There we go. Aim for accuracy. So let me do it myself. So you can see how I do it. The quick ratio test practice. Let's see how you do it. Do it on a fresh sheet of paper. Number 1 is a square. So same height, same width. That's ratio number 1. Same height, same width. So we're gonna do number 1, same height, same width. Eyeballing it. It should be a little bit longer. There it is. There's number 1. Number 2, I don't know. You have to see. You're looking at the height and the width. I know the ratio, but the scale can change. I can make it bigger or smaller. But if we use the same square, it is twice as long as it is wide. So it's really a 1x2 for number 2. And this is what you should be doing when you're drawing. And practice this for a while, your ratios. That's number 2. Number 3 is, oh, there we go. Let's see, what is that? I even forgot. I can get my ruler, or I can get this. I think this is, let's see. Cheating here. A little bit more. Let's use the metric system. That's 3 centimeters. 5, 6. Ah, it's a 1x2 as well. Ah, that's the trick. It's still the same 1x2. I thought so. I forgot. I did this like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So it is a 1x2, but the scale is different. That's trying to trick you. So it's still a 1x2, or it's actually one. Actually, this would be 2x1 because it's twice as high as it is wide, and this is a 1x2. It's just bigger, but it's still the same ratio. Number 3. I'm giving you guys the answers to the test. But this is what you're looking for. You're looking for the height and the width. It's still the same ratio. It's just sideways now. That's number 3. There's a way to check these. But you'd have to scan it. Or you can use your ruler. Use a ruler. That helps too. You can see, okay, I made it 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches times 2. Here's 1.5 inches. That would be there. And then another 1.5 inches. Ooh, it needs to be a little bit wider, off a little bit. But passing this test, all you need is 75% accuracy. It doesn't have to be 100% accuracy. What's important is the concept, the idea, because then you just practice that. Like, okay, wait a minute, I can see my ratios are off. Or I can check, you can check your ratios. This is 1 inch. So the height should be 2 inches. Let's see how accurate I am. It should be probably a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. There we go. I'm off a little bit. This one I was probably off like 90%. This one's probably like 90. Like, no, this one is 95% accuracy, and this is probably a 90% accuracy. I don't know. You can actually, I know this is possible to actually create an app that would check your accuracy. Number 4. Let's do number 4. This is taking a while. Oh yeah, we can go for another 5 minutes. So feel free to do your own at your own pace.
Can you push it higher up? For some reason,
Oh.
it's,
Higher up.
I don't see 9 and 10
Hold on a second.
unless close your screen or something, the black screen, the YouTube screen.
Okay. Oh, here. This one. Is that better?
Yeah, now I can see it. Thanks.
Great. You're welcome. So it's just seeing the ratios. I think I can leave that. We'll have another 5 minutes and then we'll go into sharing. And then at 8 o'clock, we're going to go into the watercolors. So let's see. Okay, let's see the ratios for number 4. I can eyeball it. I know this is 1:3. Let's see if it is. Maybe it should be centimeters. Yeah, it's a 1.5 centimeters wide. 1.5 centimeters wide. So 1.5 times 3. Okay, Google, what's 1.5 times 3? I need to be quiet. Okay, Google, what's 1.5 times 3?
The answer is 4.5.
4.5. So it should be 4.5. And there it is, 4.5. So it is a 1:3. So that's all it is 3 squares. That would be the ratio for number 4. And then if you look on my screen, I'm going to scroll down real quick. I'll scroll back. But if you go underneath, these are other tests that I'm working on. You can actually see here, this is actual items. Instead of just something abstract, this is where you can actually see, oh, okay, it's almost a square. It's a little bit taller. And this is why ratios are important. Oh, this refrigerator, you can see a square. No, it's not quite. It's a little bit bigger than a square. It's almost like 2 squares. This is probably more square. This bottom half. The top half is a little bit taller than a square. It's probably even just the same square. Yeah, it's a little taller. And then there's these shapes, which I would have to play with a little bit more on and then school items too. You can see there's the ratios for all these. If you were to draw these. Now notice how we simplified. This is simplified. This is a shelf view, which I've been calling a shelf view. Once you get into the next one for wrap to draw, you get into angles, and that's the next test. That would be next time, angles. That needs some work, but you can see it coming in here, angles, and then that's another angles. And then proportions, and then more tests or practices. See where you're at. And you'll get badges for these too. We can get badges we'll make badges. Say, hey, I know what ratios are. So ratios, wrap to draw. Let me go back. Here we go. There it is. That's 4. Let me see, check my ratios. You can actually go in with your ruler and check your ratios yourself. And actually, that's good. You want to eyeball it, and you also want to even use a ruler and say, okay, how accurate are my ratios? Should be 3:1. Maybe I should have another one with you can see the squares. This is 2 centimeters. Should be 6 centimeters tall. So let's see how accurate. Oh, I keep squeezing it down a little bit. I'm off again. Maybe it says, I'm used to working over my work. I'm actually at an angle, a little bit more an angle. It's called actually an anamorphic distortion. You kind of be aware of that. So they're my 3 squares in there. There we go. My height to the width. There we go. That's more accurate. That's my number 4. My number 5. Okay, number 5. I know what that is because I made them. That's a square here. So same height, same width. If you're listening to me, I'm giving you the secrets. So actually, yeah, why don't we do that? Because you probably drew it out because I'm going slower. So number 5 is a square, but that top square is actually a third of the size. So it should be a third, or maybe it's a fourth. Wait a minute. Let me see. So it's, let me go to measuring my, I'm going to measure my screen instead. On my screen, it's 4.5 wide. And it's about 1. So yeah, it's a fourth. Wow, why would I do that? That's torture. Should have been, that's really hard. Because it's a fourth. So it's really just getting a half, half, half. It does look like a fourth. It's getting one of these fourths and putting it up on top. That's what I did there. That's not an easy one. I'm gonna have to redo that one. It'd be better if it was a little bit bigger. But it's a fourth of the size. And this is actually proportions already now. It's more than just ratios. Once you start adding 2 shapes, that's proportions. So it's a little bit of giving you a hint of proportions. Number 8. Oh no, number 7. Number 7 is maybe I need to change the size of my screen. Oops. We're getting, yeah, I think we're getting close to the end of this. It's time here now. Yeah, it's time. All right, here we go. That's 3 and something. 3 and it's 9. Yeah. So yeah, there's 3 squares. So number 7. Did I miss one? Oh, there we go. This is number 6. Number 5. That's the one I remember doing. Okay, this is wrong. Number 5 is. That's it. Number 5 is half a square. Wow, why would I do that? Yeah, it's a quarter for number 5. No, I'm gonna have to change this test. It's too hard. Yeah, number 5. Because I know there's a relationship. I can tell already. So this is a fourth, and this is a quarter. This square here is a quarter. No, yeah, that's a quarter. A quarter. It's like getting one of these. Yeah, I need to simplify this test. Yeah, so it should be something like this. That's number 5, and then this is number 6. Do the best you can. Let's see. Number 7 is 3. This is number 6. 3 wide, 1 by 3. It's for number 7. Number 8, I think, is a 1 by 4 for number 8. Let me check. The width is an inch, a little bit more than 1.5 inches. Let's go to centimeters. Yep, there it is, 4 centimeters. So it should be 4 times 4 is 8. So it should be 8. Oh, no, 16. That's what it is. Yeah, 16 wide. So number 8 is 1 by 4. That's for number 8. 1 by 4. Now this seems all kind of technical. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what we need to now use our imaginations. And this is the fun part. You can actually use these. Use this. Let's make it fun. I don't like tests. You can make, let's see, this could be a window. This reminds me of a window. And this could be a character looking outside the window or looking through the window. It could be like, oh, what was that character? They'd always, where's Elmo? Or his no, Kilroy, I think it was. I don't know, it's an old 70s.
Got a longer nose. Oh
The
yeah.
longer, yeah. So he could be through the window. This could be a ladder. You can have somebody climbing the ladder. Use your imagination. This could be a spray. This is where it gets fun. You're like, okay, what does this look like? What does it remind you of? Almost like a Rorschach test, one of those tests, those ink block tests. You can even make this square into something else. So that's part two. The part two is the fun one, is just getting creative with it. So there's two kinds of drawing for accuracy, drawing for observation. And then there's the fun one, drawing using your imagination and letting things really just go any way you'd like. This could be, let's see, this is, and this is where it's fun actually, seeing your work, which you turn this into, for some reason, I'm getting the feeling of a bat. This could be the bat. Here, turn this into a bat. Let's see, there we go. All right, so go ahead and play with that. All right, that's it. So we'll wind this up for today. It is, we got down to the last 12 minutes before 8. I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you for joining us today. So use your imagination and stretch that imagination. What does it remind you of? What does it look like? Is it a pencil? I'm going to make this into a really.
Oh, Eladio, I have a question. Are we
Yes.
supposed to take a picture of this and to submit to somewhere?
Yeah, you know what? You can take a picture of it. And actually the best way to do it would be to scan it, because even if you take a picture of it, you'd have to be like straight over it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do take a picture of it, better to scan it. And then I can show you, actually we can show you how to how you would check. But I think even just checking with a ruler is good. I think, because I was in my mind making it hard for everybody. You're scanning it and then putting it into another program. And that's why if you look at the website or look at the doc, there's this. And if it stands in the, I don't know, if it's inside the blue area, that's you know, that's your checking your work here.
Oh,
You would have to use another program, and that's I guess I like getting things complicated, so that's probably a little too complicated if it fits in that blue area. So yeah, you can check, because what's important is I think the easiest way to do it is to check it with a ruler, and if I write what the proportions are, that's what I'm going to do. Probably show the proportions on like a checklist. I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll do that. Yeah, so you can check and see what the ratios are. The ratios, because I know this is 1/4, but if I measure this one that I just did here, 1/4, it says 1/4, but I don't know if it is. I can try to eyeball it. Let me see, 1/4. Measure it with my pen. That would be the 1, 2, 3. It's probably a little bit longer. 4. It's probably this 1/4. There we go. Because then once you know your ratios, then you can draw this as big as you want, because you know the ratio. That's why ratios are important. It's the first thing. It's the first R. Ratios, and then angles. Angles are simple. Angles are horizontal and vertical. So we don't have to worry about angles with this. It's all just vertical and horizontal, these angles. But there are angles here. This is 10, so the height should be 1/4 of that. What's the 1/4 of 10? 1/4 of 10. That's 25, 2.5. There it is, 2.5. Pretty good. Probably a little bit wider. Probably should be a little bit longer still. I'm looking at it, but that's pretty good. Because it's a little bit more than, yeah, it's a little bit wider. Could be thinner, but it is 1/4 for number 8. Yeah, I'll put the answers up. Yeah, but this is a good exercise. It's a good test. And you don't have to, just understand it. That's what's the important thing. It doesn't matter if you have it 100% accuracy. That's It's just knowing it and saying, okay, ratios. I'm looking at the ratios and then just practicing it. And then the more you practice, the better you get. All right, we're down to the last. If you're ready to share, if you'd like to share your underwater scenes, or if you want to share your ratios, and then I'll write your name down. If you are a member, I will give you a badge if it looks good. Actually, I'll screenshot it and give you a badge. That's what I'll do. So if you show your work and I'll screenshot it, I'll put it here real quick, and then give you a badge. The ratio badge. Well, that'll make me make the ratio badges this week. All right, here we go. Or if you want to share your underwater scene and what you made. See, this is where you're getting creative. This is where it's fun, actually. We'd love to see your work. It's F11, that one. F11, there we go. Yeah, so raise your hand, or if you'd like to share whenever. If not, that's fine. I can get into, oh, we have a hand. All right, okay, we have Regina, and then we have Judy. So, oh, and Yelena. I think Yelena was, okay, let's go Regina. Regina first, let's see, spotlight. And then we'll go with, there we go. Hold on, let me stop sharing the, I'm still sharing my screen. Where's my screen? Oh, there it is. There you go. Now you got the spotlight. What you got?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, nice. Love that angle, and then all the extra fish. Sweet.
I
Oh,
wanted the fish to be behind and in front of the whale. They're like a little followers.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
And there's a group of jellyfish at the top, and then some. I put some ground in.
Wow, I'm jelly.
I like this. I like this. It's a Omar, or what is that? Lobster?
Yeah.
Oh, this one. This.
No,
Oh, this.
on the bottom. Yes. This
Oh,
one.
yeah.
So good.
It's on the floor going upward. And then here are my little proportions.
And there's your proportions and your creativity. Congratulations.
Very
I'm
nice.
gonna lower it now a little bit more. I'm gonna screenshot it, and then you have passed. You get a badge. Congratulations.
Thanks, Eladio.
You got your ratio badge for Regina. Okay. All right. Anybody else would like to share? Uh-oh, hold on. Let's see where I'm at learning my. Okay, Yelena, you're next. All right, so
Okay. It is.
there you are. Oh, sweet. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. This is much funner than. Oh yeah. Oh man.
But it's
Okay.
I decided to draw. It's supposed to be, much bigger, or to put it behind.
Yeah, it's all right. But that
think
would be your next one. See, that would be your next one. See, this is where overlapping would be, and or maybe even behind all this. Imagine, actually, that would be interesting. And drawing like here, but actually drawing it big, but behind all the creatures. So you really use overlapping, and you really have your whale way back here. I don't know if you can see my paper. Yeah, behind all your other animals back there. But it's getting to fit. Very nice, though. I like it. Awesome. Great.
And the ratio.
Oh, let's see your ratios. Let's see if we get. There you go. Ooh, you even went 3D.
Like blocks.
Right. Congratulations. You are our second badge. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I need to, you know what? Because I have a screenshot right now. I can only hold one screenshot.
Okay.
Give me 1 second while I. Oh, there's my other one that I wanted to share too. Here, hold on. I'll share it right after. Paste. There it is. Let me screenshot you. Hold on 1 second. All right, copy. Oh, gotcha. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Yelena.
To imagine like a blocks.
Yeah, that's great creativity. Yeah, you're getting the angles.
Easy. Thank you.
All right, so ratios, Yelena, Regina. All right, who else would like to share? If nobody's sharing. Oh, okay, Judy. There we go, Judy. Let's see what you got. All right.
It's kind of a hodgepodge. I didn't quite make the scene. They're all kind of swimming around in different spots.
That's fine. No, I can see. I can see that smile on that octopus.
Yeah.
He's happy. It's the octopus's garden.
Yeah, it's a cute seahorse there.
Oh yeah, there's a
Very
seahorse.
cute. Mhm.
Nice little wave. Oh, and you added a clownfish. You made your, I don't think we had a clownfish. You added, made it into a clownfish.
Yeah, he was in there.
He was? Okay. wait a
Yeah.
minute. There's so many.
You're funny. I went and it just came in the mail today. My printer's paper. It
Yeah.
was called newsprint. It's
Oh,
more
yeah.
expensive than other papers.
No.
Yeah, it was. It was like $8.50 for what is it, 100 sheets? Yeah.
It should be less expensive.
Well, this was on Amazon, so it was this.
Wow. Okay. What's the size on that? That's Canson too. Wow.
9 by 12,
9 by
30
12.
pound.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have here. Mine was $3. This one's
Oh,
$3
where'd you get it?
at Blick's. This is Blick.
Oh, wow. Well, Amazon. I don't know who they get it from.
Yeah. Wow.
And then
Yeah.
this is,
Sometimes they just there's people that put stuff on there. Oh yeah. Let's take a look. Oh, already.
Oh,
I mean, looking at your ratios, they look good. All right. Congratulations. You're number 3. I like your cars. Very creative. And your people going into the house. Very nice.
oh yeah.
Let me screenshot yours. A little dark, but hold on. Hold it up a little bit. Oh, it's all right. Hold on. Right there. Gotcha. All right. Gotcha. Very nice. Okay. Anybody else would like? Elise, we got you, Elise. All right. Hello.
Hello. I was doing trying to do the seahorses like mirroring each other with love.
That's a really good, because that's challenging, getting that mirror, that symmetry.
Yeah, it didn't quite go as what I wanted, but
It's a good exercise.
And then I'm not so sure. All I could see was Legos besides the cupcake and the chimney, and a painting like a brush, and then the faucet spout. So,
Yeah, you got to practice your stretching that imagination. That's a whole other skill. It's a whole other skill than just copying. All right, so hold on a little closer to the camera.
Oh.
There you go. Right there. 3, 2, 1. Smile. Got it. All right. Got it. All right. You're number 4. Thank you for sharing. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right. Let me. Okay. So great. It's 8 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to share before you go one last thing. This is actually I was thinking about this and it came up. So here it is. This is the basic elements of creativity. So the first one is copying, and that's what you do when you're drawing and you're observing, you're learning to copy. And then creativity, first part of creativity is just transforming what you copied, which is what many of you did. And then really getting into the creativity is really combining stuff. They say creativity, really there is always a copy of something else. Nobody's really truly original. They're always copying, combining, and transforming. So that's the lesson for the day. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be doing watercolor if you want to join us for that. If not, thank you for coming. Really appreciate you guys coming out and want to help you out any way we can to help you improve your drawing and just practice and have fun. Thanks for coming. All right, let's get into watercolor. Anybody else would like to share? Or we're going to get into watercolor. All right, so let's get into watercolor. I've got, I am still sharing my screen, right? There we go. The basic elements of creativity. I love that when I saw it. It actually came from a video. They talked about, oh yeah, copying. Yeah, this is all my notes. This is from, oh, this is my sketch. All right, let's go back here. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be actually draw. I have these 2 pictures. We're going to start with this one. Now, really quickly with water, and this is the first time we're actually painting. Our focus usually is just drawing. I really want to build up the drawing part. I'm not going to get into, I will talk about all the other stuff as I'm doing. I usually, we'll do it together as far as like materials and techniques. But we're going to be doing the paddles. We'll start easy with the paddles. And then if I can find another picture, I was trying to find this picture, but if you click on the kids in the water, oh no, it doesn't work. I don't have that link. You can, I'll see. No, we'll see. We'll start with the ores because the ores are simple. And it's your call to adventure. Dun, 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 dun. Your sketchbook heroes. Now, I don't have watercolor paper. I have two different kinds of paper. Well, actually, more than two, but I have two that I can paint with. I have, and these are the ones that, yeah, Blick store is where you probably want to get this. And sometimes, you know, there's some of the sellers on Amazon are resellers. They actually, you know, have this stuff and they bump up the prices and they sell it for people who don't know the prices, right? So sometimes, yeah, Blick is a good place to go for your art supplies. Yeah, Amazon might not always be the best price, you know, so Blick is a good place. If you go to blick.com, and actually they give discounts or go to the store. You do have the convenience of you know, getting it shipped and all that stuff. So this paper is Canson. Actually, this is mixed media. And this is actually pretty thick. This has a little bit of a tooth to it. It is paper's usually here it is, acid free, and it is acid free. You can see this one, acid free. It's really good, important if you wanted to keep it for a long time. Your paper want to do stuff instead of just doing it on newsprint, which will turn gray or yellow, actually yellow. So this is mixed media paper, and the other one that I have is bristle paper, bristle board, and this is actually good for watercolor as well, but it's really smooth. It doesn't have any tooth. It's a really smooth paper, better for drawing. This is actually really good for like drawing. If you're going to do some really nice realistic drawing, when you get more advanced, this is the paper you want to get. And wow, I'm upset that somebody sold you, you know, that paper, newsprint paper for less. All right, it's all good. Just let it go. Live and learn, and that's what happens. I mean, you know, you do your best until you know better, and then once you know better, you'll do better. Like, okay, next time I know. Okay, sure. But you know, it's all good. I never really checked for prices myself when I was first. I would just, okay, I need this, I need that. All right, here we go. So paper. I am using, actually speaking of prices, I am using, I have two different watercolor sets. I have this watercolor set and it's from the dollar store. It's called Basic. This is actually a pretty good brand. They have erasers and they have all kinds of other stuff. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to draw the thing out on my paper. So we're going to draw, I'm going to put the link in the ore. So let me copy the link, copy link address and put it in the chat. Let's see, we're down. Oh, I have some things in the chat. All right. Callie Roberts and Jacqueline said bye. Michael sells Canson and you can get nice coupons online. Yeah, Michael's. Maybe use tracing paper too. But whatever you have, you know what is good? And schools have, once I got into the copy room, because I don't like making copies for my students. There's teachers that spend hours in the copy room printing stuff out, worksheets and all, like, oh, I don't like that stuff for students. But if you go to the copy room, you get a lot of copy paper, and that's really good to draw and sketch on, because most of the stuff is, you know, it's practice. So that's a good place.
Eladio, I mentioned the tracing paper for the ratio. Like if you trace paper, that's an easy way to just kind of see how far you are or near.
That's a great idea. Yeah, so using the tracing paper. Yeah, for that's right. That'd be good to see. Yeah, your ratios. Great idea. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna do the watercolors. Let's do the watercolors. So here's my paper. This is the mixed media paper. It has a little bit more tooth than the Canson, than the bristle board. Do that. Now, let's talk a little bit about watercolors before, since this is the first time. Again, it's color. There's a whole color theory. You can see these colors. I can already see these are good colors. I don't know how they're gonna mix with water. There's this set here, and then there's this set here, and they're both from the same brand, but I can tell color has three properties. There's three properties to color. All right, so let's just really quickly talk about color. There's a little bit of color theory here. So color has three properties. The first property is hue. Hue is basically the color name, right? Or the color name. That's hue. So what is the hue? Well, it's orange, red, green, yellow, green, blue, green. Usually that, and that's how you say it. So and you have your color wheel. You have the three primaries. This is the color theory. Primary means just the first. There's really 11 primaries. So I've heard. I know there's at least well, there's 2 for each primary, and then plus black and white. Well, okay, don't want to get it confused, but I think of these as families. So you have your red family, red. I got a D in an art class because I did it opposite from the teacher, and I actually did that on purpose. I didn't like her. Yellow, and most of the times I had A's and B's in my classes. Red, yellow, and blue. So hue is the color name. Now, if it's between yellow and red, we have orange. That's the orange. And if it's here between these two, between orange and yellow, you have the tertiary colors. So these are the primary colors, which means first, primary, primero. And then secondary, segundo, secondary, orange. These, when you get these colors, when you mix them, and there's secondaries in here. Then you have the tertiaries. Now, the way you pronounce the tertiaries is usually the primary number word first and then the secondary. So here would be yellow, orange instead of orange, yellow. Usually that's how it goes. So this would be yellow, orange. So that's the first property. Second property, and the most important property, I think, is value. And that's one of the elements of art, value. And that's how light and how dark something is, value. Value. So how light and how dark the color is. What is the lightest value? White. That would be white. White is the lightest. And you can see this, these watercolors have white in it. True watercolors don't have white. So that's value is the lightest. And then the darkest would be black. And then these colors here would be on that same scale. One of the lighter ones is yellow. Yellow is really light. And then you have other colors along that. It's almost like even squinting your eyes, you can see which ones are lighter and darker and seeing the value.
Can you put yourself full screen, please, Claudio?
Ah, yes. Let's see. There we go. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And also let me,
Flip,
oh, is it flipped? Okay.
flip the screen. You're upside down to us.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Oh.
Excellent.
So thank you. So hue is the first one, that's the color name. Value is the second one, how light or how dark the color is. And this one took me a while to understand what intensity is. I would get it mixed up with value when I first, well, this in middle school or high school, when I first came across the concept, intensity. Intensity is just how bright the color is, intensity. So it's the brightness. So, you know, you can have, like, for example, all these are intense. They're straight out of the tube. They're straight out of the out of here, out of the lid. Oh, I can use this to mix. Right. So this is the most pure pigment, the intensity. But even here, I don't know, the intensities are interesting. So that's the intensity, because you can have a color that is lighter but is not as intense. So the value could be light, but it's not as intense. And how does that work? I have my water here. Dun, dun, dun. I have a brush that it comes with. Now, as far as brushes, usually the soft brushes is what you use for watercolors. You don't want to use this kind of brush. This is more for acrylics or other media. And this is a hog hair brush. It's a little bit harder, a little stiffer. You can use it, but you don't want to usually. Usually with watercolors, you want to use the softer brushes. And you can get into expensive brushes. Yeah, you don't really want to when you're first learning, you know, just you know, get into the soft brushes. Yeah, because watercolor is really expensive. Yes.
Could you go back to intensity for a second? How is that different from saturation, or is that the same thing?
It is the same as saturation. It's exactly the same as saturation. How saturated a color is. Yeah, intensity and saturation is the same.
Okay.
So yeah, it is exactly the same. So yeah, how saturated a color is. So it's the intensity. Yeah, 'cause it's only 3 properties. So yeah, it is the same. So I like here, these colors here, I can already see, I don't know, this one might not be it. And it's good to actually, when you're first starting with your watercolors, to spray it a little bit with water, with a spray bottle. I do have a spray bottle. That kind of gets your watercolors kind of like ready to work with. I usually spray my watercolors. It's been a while since I've used watercolors. It's actually one of my favorite mediums to use. It's very just like a pencil. It's very obtainable, and it's not that expensive. So it's a good introduction to color. It's a good, I mean, it's what I use in my classes. All right, so intensity, yes, saturation is the same. I was going to show you a little bit of an example, mixing it here. And that's actually a good thing to do too, is just to mix colors. And once you start mixing colors, you do lose the intensity. So the opposite, well, let's go here. The opposite of yellow on a color wheel is the complementary. So red and blue, that's purple. So if we mix a little bit of purple to it, you can actually move the intensity down, kill some of the intensity. There it is. Well, yeah, it's not the paper to do it on. But yeah, saturation, how bright and how intense the colors are. And even different brands, like a yellow from one company would be a different saturation. Like here, you can totally see here, this yellow here, this ochre yellow, or this brownish yellow. It's lighter than this green here. It's lighter than this green, but this green is more intense than this yellow here because of its intensity. You can see it's has more chroma, or more yeah, that word you use. Okay, so here we go. That's just a quick intro to some of the color theory. Now, when it comes to painting water, why? This is the question. This is the question. When it comes to painting water, we're going to be painting these ores. Water is an interesting thing, and I always think of Bruce Lee's quote, be water. You know, water, if you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water, he's got a whole thing. Maybe I'll look for it and play it. But definitely become water, become fluid, become the flow. It can smash, it can crash, it can. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the scene out. Water reflects, refracts, and is also transparent. So that's, you got to understand the properties of water to kind of reproduce water. And water has ripples. You can see the ripples, and the ripples look different at different distances from the water. So the angle of the water, the depth of the water, there's all these things that make water water. But usually it's the patterns. And if we look, we can, with this picture, you can easily break it down. And this is actually a photograph. But if you learn to see, there's really just 3 values here in this picture, right? You have the really light value, which is good to see, the light value. And then you have this grayish value here, this grayish green value. And then you have this value here, and it's just getting the patterns. It's really just seeing the patterns and how getting the patterns here. Now, if you want to paint water from different angles and different, we'll talk about what it looks like when, water in the ocean, water in a cup, how it reflects, refracts, and we can do that. But we'll start with this one, because all those waters would be handled a little bit differently, but it's basically the same. It's understanding the properties and also how you approach your watercolor painting. So when I approach, I look at what I'm going to paint and what I'm going to do first. Usually go from light to dark. So you want to start with your lights, see where the lights are, because once you go dark, you can't bark, so to say. No, once you go dark, it's harder to especially with watercolors. You don't true watercolors. You don't put white and paint it back out. You really want it. The white is the white of your paper in true watercolors. So All right, let's draw it out and then we'll paint it. So I'm going to draw it out in pencil. I had a pencil here yesterday or the other day. Let me see. Give me a second. Pencils here, but they're not sharpened. Take a drink. So get your supplies, or you can start drawing it out. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to point out some of the patterns. I think I'll just use a watercolor, just a pencil here. It's like a colored pencil. I don't have colored pencil. Here we go. Here's an orange one. All right. So I'm going to start with this ore. I'm going to actually put a little bit more angle to it because I like angles, just more action. So it is almost like a square. I'm going to get this angle on it here. That'll kind of show how it's going to fit on my paper. And this is just a study, a watercolor study of water. Here it's this ore, which gives us a clue as far as what it is. Oh, it's a painting of water. It's got this a little bit longer than a rectangle as far as our ratios. Bring that down. Let's draw this out. There's my ore in orange ore. I think I'm losing some of the, here's the boat part. Down. Roundedness. The second ore. Up in here. Oh. Oh, that's an email. I didn't set my at a different angle. But I'm going to exaggerate just a little bit this ore, this little wing. I'm exaggerating a little bit. As an artist, you want to exaggerate because you do want to show what it is. So I'm going to bringing that little wing out a little bit more. Because you want to shoot for clarity, clarify things. All right, so there's my ore. I don't have some of the detail. I'm not worrying about it. I know I've got the main parts. Now I know there's a circle in here. There's this trying to draw it as light as possible. There's a circle here. It kind of goes out, and then I have this top part up here. This dark part right here. It kind of comes under, and it's this pattern we're trying to capture. There's this one, and then there's a frequency to the waves. You can see the frequency. So there's this wave here and this wave here, and that's why they're called waves. There's a frequency. You can see it here, and then it comes here. Here's the third one, this frequency here. And then there's actually another frequency here. I think it's the ripples going this way. You can see it kind of going out that way. So I'm just going to kind of like try to see where those frequencies are. And there's other ways to do this too. I mean, you can grid this and see, but it's good to see kind of like where these big shapes are, like this big dark area right in here. This area right here, if you notice this one above, I have it right about in there. I can bring it down a little bit more, see where it's at. There we go, right about there. And that's good. And that's kind of blocked in. I blocked in everything. All right, I think we're ready to go. It looks like camera's a little blurry. We need more light, or I know I went really light. Yeah, is it blurry? This camera's actually really good as far as, let me see, add some more light. Oh, here it is. There's this light. It's not, doesn't help much more. I can see it's a little blurry. That's all good. All right, so with watercolors, we want to see what's the lightest. So the light value here is and actually there's even more lights if we look at the actual image. This printed image actually loses some of the, you lose some of the detail. So let me go to actual image on my screen. And actually this is good because it simplifies the image. There we go. Yeah, there's a little bit more of a range. But we won't worry about that. We'll try to get to do 2 paintings. Let's see, spend 15 minutes here and then 15 minutes on another one. All right, so here we go. Let's get me a big brush. It's a little bit bigger brush. All right, so, oh, I know. I used it at school. So I'm going to aim for this light color, and this will be its. Let's mix it. It is a bit of blue, and it's a lot of white. A lot of water is what I meant. There's no white. A true watercolor. So I'm going to get this, and this is going to actually just going to take a while. So I'm going to for it to dry. So this would be a good time to have like a dryer, a hair dryer. So I'm getting quite a bit of water here to start. There we go. And then I'm going to get this light blue. This light blue I have here. It's already a light blue. It's not that intense, but it's going to be a lot of water anyways. There we go. It's going to be really a lot of water. And that's going to be my first shade. This is my first shade. And we're really have to wait for this to dry. Here we go. Here we go. Notice how light it is. This and the mark of the pencil is a watercolor pencil, so it's coming apart. So I'm putting this really light shade. Notice it's a really, oh, you can't even see it. Gosh. You'll see it when it dries, it'll get a little bit darker, but it's really light, a light blue. You can see it here a little bit darker right there. I'm spreading that out. It's a lot of water. This is going to be our first shade. It's going to be the first base. This whole thing. There we go. And just spread it out. Now you want to look at what you're going to paint and see, okay, what's going to go first? It's a plan of attack. One of the things you do with watercolors is go from usually light to dark. The light area first, and also background to foreground. It depends, and even with acrylics is a little bit different. The approach would be different. But I'm starting with this first light, really light blue. If you don't have this off, you can actually add a little bit of, and this is where color mixing comes in. I would add maybe a touch of black or a brown to it, so it's not totally like a intense blue. Oh, there it goes. That's a little bit darker. I'm gonna spread that out a little bit more, and really be careful. You want to work from one area and then work towards another area, because if you don't be careful, once it's dry, you're going to get hard edges, and water is really soft. You can actually go from dark to light or light to dark, have some areas like in here really light, and as it goes back this way, I can actually put a little bit more pigment and make it darker as it goes up. But I really want to work fast and get this layer without stopping, because then you'll have some hard edges, and we need the hard edges for our designs, our pattern, once we put the pattern in. All right, so let's see, here we go. I want this right against that boat. Wow. All right, no, we're doing good on time. Looking at the time. Maybe I'm trying to do too much. Maybe we should just focus on this. We can always have next week also. Good thing to do is look at pictures, look at photographs, understand water, understand the ripples, understand the distance of the ripples, because that makes it a different difference. How much of a ripple is in the the water. You can see actually it's lighter. My watercolor is lighter here in the bottom and actually goes darker as it goes higher up. Actually, that's good. I like that. I'm gonna let it dry. Let's see. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. See, it's here. It's pooling. It's starting to pool. So I'm just gonna pull the pool out of the way. And you can still kind of manipulate it a little bit, move some of the water here and there, some of the pooling water, get it to do what you want it to do, and nice soft. And it's going from light to a little bit darker up on the top. I'm doing that intentionally, but it's all kind of pretty much the same value. It's really light blue. Some areas are a little bit lighter, but it all kind of flows. There we go. That's good. I'm going to let that dry. While I'm letting that dry, I'm going to do this part of the boat. It's away from this. One of the techniques is called wet into wet. Wet into wet is when you have something that's wet and then you put another color or something that's right next to it, and that's pools. It actually, you get really soft and really nice things. That's the wonderful thing about watercolors, is that wet into wet technique. Oh, I have some right here. One of my first watercolor paintings. There you go. This is definitely it, wet into wet. You can really see it here happening, where it's actually, this is mostly just water. It started off with water, and then I put color on top of the water. You can see it blending and doing all kinds of stuff on its own. Now, this is an old painting. I don't know if I have, no information. This is how old is this? You know what? This might have been one of my, this is one of my, this was in my first year in college. Because I know I didn't tape in high school or before that. I don't know. I can look at this and critique it, but what's important is you can see the wet into wet technique. You can see the water just does what it wants. Another technique here is adding salt, and you get a whole other texture, really nice texture when you add that water and then colors, and then throw some salt, some rock salt on it, and then let that dry, and then take the salt off, and you get some really interesting patterns and things that happen. All right, so waiting for that to dry, but I can still work on my boat. I'm just gonna follow a little tangent. We're waiting for this to dry. We want it to be completely dry. We don't want to get into any wet into wet technique in there. We want those sharp edges. Although this next color is a little soft, actually. I'm looking at it now. It's a little soft. And here it's a little bit of blue. It goes that way. Here I'm going to, I want to do the inside of the boat. And it's a little bit more blue. I'm going to use this. Actually, it's that same blue, but a little bit more pigment. I want to make it grayer though. All right, so here I want to keep away from my whites. Let me delineate my ore a little bit more. See, so here's the light part, and then the dark part of my ore here. There's going to be a little bit of a in there. That's the boat that I'm trying to get in here, this boat part. In this boat part, there's no other inside the boat. There we go. That nice flowing line. This is one problem that happens too with overlapping. You have to have continuity. A lot of times when people draw something, they have overlapping, creating space. The line in the background doesn't line up. So make sure that the background lines up. It still flows underneath like it's under whatever's on top. So that's a problem I see as well. Then there's going to be a shadow of the ore. It kind of goes like this. Have that curve. There's a thickness to it. Questions? No, we're good. I'm going to put a little bit of blue. Let's put a little bit of that blue. Go a little bit darker.
Isn't the boat, Claudio, white in the picture? You're just because I never saw the inside of the boat. You're just making the inside?
The inside, there's no real inside. It's like the roundness. It's like a rubber raft. I don't know.
Okay.
And it's I'm going a little bit darker just to add a little bit of contrast while we're doing it here. Yeah. And it's the same color as my background, but I'm just going a little bit darker. And I'm going to go from dark to light. I'm going to blend it out. Same thing here, all the way down. Actually, that'd be a good exercise here too. This is a good exercise. Here we go. So you want to get this sharp edge here. We're going to do sharp to soft, and this is good exercise. So I'm going to wet it off first. So let me explain this a little better. So I'm wetting my whole background paper, this part here, this blue part. You can see that orange line. I'm wetting the paper, and then here I'm going to try to keep that there. And it's just water. I'm just putting water on the paper. This is good paper. This is a good thickness. It doesn't have the tooth that true watercolor paper has. But that's okay. All right, there we go. So now once it's all wet, now I can go into my watercolor and get that sharp right in here. Notice how dark it is. I can spread it out. Oops, I went too far. All right, there we go. And you can see it blending. Now you can help it blend. You can see it blending here. And notice how dark and how intense it is. I'm just going to go in here and now just soften it up and bring it out. There it goes. See, you can see it blending. You can help it blend. Bring it out, and you can play with it a little bit. Some papers, if you rub them too much, I know my first ink drawing, I know I rubbed it as I was like trying to get it to, and that takes some practice. The paper was coming apart. And that's what you learn from experience, learning the hard way. And that's good. I mean, I know now, okay, why is it doing that? That's the type of paper I was using. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way. Here, this is a strong edge now. I can still dry my brush a little bit. And I'm going to dry my brush on another paper. And then pull this out. I can pull this, as it's drying, I can watch how it's drying. Say, okay, I don't want this strong line here. I'm going to pull it out a little bit and try to force it to blend a little bit by pulling it out. You see, I'm pulling some of this dark area. If you pull it out too much, you can see it actually lightens it too. It's almost like blending it. If your brush is soft, then you don't rip your paper. There we go. But this is a good exercise to try to get that blend, to practice blending in watercolors. So wet into wet, that's wet into wet technique. It's wet and you're blending wet into wet. And then there's dry on wet, which is what we're going to do next. There are some, you can see it puddle a little bit, and that's fine actually, because there are some textures here. This is kind of pretty dry. I still feel it a little bit wet, and I can see it actually shiny in one part. So let's see what we're going to do next. And that I work around. If I don't have a hair dryer, I'm like, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? What area is next? Okay, what's next? So for myself, I am going to start with the second color, because there's only 3 colors in this background. There's only 3 colors. So the second color is the middle tone, and it is on the green side. So we can use that same blue and then now add a little bit of green to it. Add a little bit of green to it. A little bit of green. So we're going to do that. So while we're mixing, and if it blends into this, this is dry enough. I know in some areas it's super dry. Here I can probably blow on it a little bit to let it dry. I know it's here, it's really wet on the boat, my boat side. And here we have a really light green. That'd be interesting. We'll paint that afterwards. We'll paint that last. All right, yeah, the oars go last, because that's, I go from background back to front. So we're going to do the water, all the water, and wait for that to dry. We'll take a break, and then we'll do, we'll probably take a break and draw the next scene. And then we'll come back to this. Though we're running out of time. Let's see. All right, let's do this. So let's mix. I'm going to mix this blue, the original blue here. Probably go a little bit darker and then add a little bit of green to it. Add a little bit of green. Let's mix quite a bit because we're going to need quite a bit of it. And then add a little bit of green to it. And it's going to be a little more pigment, not so much water. The biggest problem I have with my students is they do a lot of pigment. They put a lot of pigment like it's paint. It is paint, but it's watercolors. It's different. It's not everybody. They're used to temperas, or I don't know what they're used to. But I always have to remind them, don't, they put some, I have some students that they mix so much pigment that the watercolor's shiny. It's like thick. I was like, no, that's not true watercolor. I mean, they get watercolor to be really thick. But the thing with watercolors is I still have sets that are like I had in high school. A watercolor set can last you a long time because you're not using a lot of pigment. You're not. And then students, they don't know how to, it's once it's dirty, that's it. No, you can actually, I think some of the trays that students have, I can actually get the paint from there and actually create a whole painting just with the pigments that they still have left. All right, so here it is. You can see how dark it is. It's a little darker. I'm gonna add a little bit of green to it. Get my dark green here. This dark green. It's a little bit darker than this one. This is a little more yellow. So another property of a family, and actually, I don't know. They don't really call it a property, but colors can be divided into families, and that's basically you have your red, yellow, blue, but then you also have the warm colors and the cool colors. So warm colors and cool colors. So you can see I added a little bit of green to this, and we're dealing with cool colors. All these are cool colors. But now actually, because it has green in it, it's actually a little bit warmer than blue because there's yellow. Yellow and blue make green. Oh, so I'm getting this. You can test your paper. You can see it. That was an automatic test. That value here is the one I'm shooting for. I'm looking at my picture. Where's my picture? There we go. I'm shooting for this value here. It looks a lot grayer in this picture. I have it more green, and that's really dark. That's okay. I can add a little more water to it to lighten it up. So we're shooting for this pattern here, and we're trying to keep that. And then we're going to go with this dark green pattern. Just a little more water. Get it a little bit lighter. Ooh, I can hear the coyotes. There we go. It's a little more water. Okay, so it's almost like seeing the three different layers. The layer of the light color that we have here, now the layer of this next color, this pattern. And I'm going to go from left to right and try to get this pattern in here. I've lost some of my lines in here, but I can still see them. I know that there's going to be a dark area in here. And your approach, will differ from painting to painting. Say, okay, I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do this next. I can actually add a little more on my screen. It's a little more intense than it is here. I'm thinking of actually adding a little bit of gray. I do have gray here to match this picture a little bit. You can gray it out by adding gray. That would be the easiest way to do it. But the opposite of green would be red. So if you would add, because it is on the green side, if I added a little touch of red, that would kill some of the green. So that's what you do. If on the opposite side of the color wheel, I got a color wheel here. So we have blue and yellow makes green. So here's our green. So the opposite of green is red. So to pull it to the brown or this dark area in the middle, I see this is the darkness or less chroma or less intensity. You mix the opposite, and that takes some of the intensity off. So if you want to kill some of the intensity of the yellow, you go to the opposite, which would be purple or violet. That'll do it too. That'll bring that, just bring it in to the center. So you can do that by adding a little bit of red. Why don't we do that? Find the red. It's my red, just a little bit, just a touch. It turns a little purple because there's a lot of blue, but it is turning grayer. There we go. All right, let's get this pattern in here. That's a tough one. All right, cool. So let's see. back up here, it's actually almost a solid color. So I can almost, let's go a little bit lighter, add a little water, because you can actually go lighter. See, once you get the value, see what is a little dark. Now I'm just adding water to spread it and get it lighter, actually, is what I'm doing. And I'm actually seeing some of these patterns of going this way. And the water patterns. There's three major patterns going this way. There's one here, fit in that space. You can bring it over. It's a little dark. I can lighten it up. Bring it over. Thicken it up. There, those three. You can see these three. This backwards E. And then that pattern here. Let's see some of this pattern, and then just actually that ripple, these ripples, these waves, this frequency, probably even up in here a little bit. But getting it to flow, getting it to feel kind of like, there we go. That's it. Those three. I'm gonna bring this down. Actually goes dark in here. It can even change value a little bit just by adding that water. But if I'm doing it, it's still kind of that same value, but it's going a little bit lighter because I'm adding a little bit of water. I can blend it into what's underneath already. We're doing wet on dry technique now. And there's a little bit of the oranges kind of bleeding through, which is actually looking nice on my piece, the colored pencil. Adds another dynamic to it. Let me get some of this pattern in here. There's this pattern of the ripple in here. Let me see if we can do that. Go back to this color. Behind this ore, right in here, there's that little bit of a circle. This pattern, that's what it is, these patterns of light and dark. The thickness, and this is where the drawing skill comes in, how thick things are, how wide things are. How many people? We got seven of you. Hardcore heroes hanging out, awesome. Sticking it out. I'm gonna put these ripples. Really dark. Actually, ooh, I'm already actually going dark. This is actually the same color I'm going to probably use. I'm going to lighten it up, more water, but that's probably really close to the color I'm going to use for the dark. Let's get all this in here. There's this whole, and it's just more water. It's the same, really close to what I'm going to use for the dark. So I'm going to lighten it up just by adding water. You can see it's dark. And that's where I'm judging. I'm judging the darkness and how light and how dark things are. Putting these ripple patterns in here. These ripple patterns. Yeah, it's the same color that we're going to use for the darks. Let me see. Now there's a lot of turbulence in here. Oh, it went too dark. Too dark. I'm getting my watercolor and pulling it out. Oh, and I can spread that to other places. More water alert. And this happens. I'm pulling this out, trying to focus on, and there's a lot of turbulence here in this area. Perfect kind of like turbulent alert. I'm pulling it out, lightening it up. A little bit more water. I'm looking back and forth, trying to get the feeling of what I see. I'm not copying everything exactly, just trying to get the feeling of it. There we go. There we go. Ooh, saved it. I'm gonna go in here. It is going a little darker, but then there's patterns here. Ooh, there's a nice reflection of that ore. I won't do that yet. I went dark. Now I can lighten it up. I can lighten all this up. I'm lightening it up. So understanding value. So if you're having trouble going too dark, too light, I mean, that's why value, and you're not there yet, and that's okay. Just know, okay, that's my wall. That's what I'm struggling with, seeing values, how light and how dark things are, squinting my eyes. And that's okay, that's where you're at. And say, okay, wait a minute, I need to focus on value, how light, and then maybe even do a value scale with watercolors and study value a little bit, because that's your next, your next challenge, your next test, your next exercise that you need to kind of do. I'm gonna bring some of this, ooh, It's just stopping there. I don't like this. It should kind of continue. I'm going to try to see if I can revitalize this a little bit. I'm going to bring some of this darkness straight under the boat just for continuity. So I'm putting water back in to revitalize it. This area here. I don't know if you can see it next to the boat right here. I'm just putting water. So I'm going to go really light and actually probably see if I can blend some of this out again. And I don't like it there. So I'm going to bring it so it looks like it's coming under the boat. I can see this pattern going that way. Maybe even another line here. Soften it up. There we go. And then maybe just a touch of this color in here now. Boom, there it is. And then blend it in there, back in there. Get the water, blend it into what we had. And this is straight water, clean water. See, I'm bringing that back. That value just really light in there. Oh, nice, soft. It's doing what I want it to do. Back up here, I can bring some of this pattern. There we go. That looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. That looks darn good, I think. We're ready for our last pass. I can probably put a little bit. So our next pass is we're going to go darker. I'm going to wait for this to dry though. I'm going to go darker. It's the same. It's the same. I can see this already. And this is just experience. I'm like, oh yeah. And when you hit the colors and you hit something, it's like, oh, this is it. You know, you're hitting the targets. And sometimes you struggle. It's like, oh, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Oh, and you can see what's happening here too when it dried. This was too wet right here and it's leaving that. That's okay. That's what watercolors will do. If you don't watch it, it'll do what it does. You can see like a little stain here. Man, it is what it is. We can go back and rework it, but since we have time. All right, we're done with layer 2. Layer 3, 4, yeah, oh yeah, it's almost, we're really, layer 3, this is gonna take some time. I'm gonna go back over here and you can blend it out. Well, it's still kind of like, see, I'm using the brush and just water. Just blending it out a little bit and try it again. It did pool right here. I didn't notice it. It pulled it here a little bit. I'm just going here with water and softening it up. It's just straight water. Yeah, see that water, just straight water kind of blends it out, kills that, makes it soft again. See, I can see some of the paper coming apart a little bit if you rub it too much. There we go. All right. All right, let's see. Oh, we lost one more person. We're down to 6. We got 6. Let's see. Thanks. See you next week, JG. Oh, 8:44, and they just left. All right, here we go. Wait for this to dry. Yeah, it's just a waiting game now, or a hair dryer. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have time for the next. We can do more watercolors next week. Water paintings. Do some more water studies. I think Yelena's probably gone because she's like 3 or 4 hours earlier than we are. Take any questions?
Fine, I'm fine.
You're good. Oh, you're here still.
Yeah. 10 to midnight.
You can blow on it. It's kind of warm in this room too. I can see it's shiny. If I look at the light, I can see where it's still shiny. The water is reflecting. But it's coming along. I think it's looking pretty good. I don't know. Let me see how it's looking. I can see it drying your paper. Get this to dry. And then once we get with these the colors of the ore is a complementary color of the green and blue in the background. So the opposite of green is red and orange. So that's going to really pop, especially, yeah, if we get it to pop. Here it's a little bit more yellow. The composition, it's okay. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. This is, I don't know. Usually when in a composition, you have a focal point. The focal point definitely is this ore here, although this drop back here also is kind of like a focal point. It's kind of competing with this. And the story, it depends on what story you want to say. There are some drips of water I can see on my screen. Ooh, and there's even reflections of clouds in here. Some of that turbulence is actually reflections of cloud also. you don't see in this copy as well. But yeah, detail, you can simplify, always simplify. All right, I think we're ready for the next layer. Okay, and it's not a flat color. I mean, it looks flat, but there's actually little textures in there. So let's see if we can capture that. Now, this is where your drawing skill and your the drawing skill really is going to come in and trying to capture this turbulence here. I can see 1, 2, 3, these 3 really big, almost looks like an S in here behind the oar. This S, I try to see these, this abstract, very abstract shapes and patterns and ripples, mostly up here, down here. This is going to be really nice. This is most of the work is going to be up here. Down here, really don't touch that. Yeah, down here, you really don't touch that. I actually probably could have used a little more texture in here. I can probably do that. You can put it in afterwards. So I'm going to wait for it to dry. Yeah, I can still go back in here and put a little more of that light texture, but I won't do it. You got to be really careful because here it's still wet. I can still see that wet right there. I can see it dry right here. I think I'm going to do the boat. Let's do a really light green on the boat because it's dry in this area. So here I'm going to put a lime green, really light, mostly yellow and green. And the lime green. Try to get it as intense as you can. So we're going to start with the yellow first with a nice clean brush. A nice bright yellow, intense green. And it's a little washed out here, but this will add some contrast. Let's see. I'll actually try to get some clean water too. My water usually stays pretty clean because sometimes it's good to have 2 cups of water. One, you try to keep totally, absolutely clean for your light colors like this. So I'm getting my brightest yellow. Put that in there first. My brightest yellow here. I can see my yellow, a little bit more yellow. And then yellow is I wouldn't say weak color, but it's easily influenced. It's bright and happy, but just add a little bit of another color and it's not yellow anymore. So it's easily influenced. Actually, that's a good way of saying it. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of this bright yellow green in there, just a little bit, and you can see it just, I mean, totally changes. That's what I want. And that comes from experience. I know how these colors are influenced. Black and blue, those are harder to influence. Sometimes you need to put more out of proportion your colors. You need more of it. So that's a nice light yellow green. I'm going to go ahead and put that. Well, actually, why don't we try going dark to light again? We're going to go. I'm try to keep the top of my oar in here, the thickness. Try to save that, and that'll actually add more contrast there, right at that spot. You got to be really careful there, and then I can work my way up. That nice bright green. Same thing down here. Work my way down, and then try to keep that top of the oar because that's going to be the white part. Nice, sharp. And this nice and sharp edge. Notice that sharp edge. If that background was wet, and it is right here, I can see a little bit of bleeding. It wasn't totally dry. We're getting wet into wet. Wet into wet alert. Went back in there. So that edge is nice and sharp. And then just get water and you can blend it out. There we go. Blend it out. Blend this out before it dries. A little bit of just straight water. The little life raft. Yeah, there it is. All right, it's coming along. So that's what I got. It doesn't look, yeah, you lose some of the intensity on my screen. I'm like, yeah, it's nothing like the live picture here. Oh, something happened there. It's all right. All right, it's getting close to. All right, so all we need to do is we can actually even leave it at this this dark part, and we can come back next week. So I don't know how everybody's feeling. Come back next week and finish this up and continue with this. So hopefully this has been helpful. Water is a challenge. You're truly trying to capture the properties of water, just like the properties of color, understanding the properties, what it does, how it works, you know, the ripples, the reflections, because here there's a reflection of this paddle that's here, and it's the ripples together, seeing those patterns. All right, so let's go. I have my dark green. I'm not sure it's still wet here. Hate to go into it. Maybe we should call it a day and just make sure it's completely dry. It's not. Well, let's give it a go. If there's a little bit of blending, that's okay. A little bit of wet into wet. It is water. So here we go. Let's just jump into it. I have my green already mixed. It's the same one that I had here, except it's not as dark. I mean, it's not as light. It's not going to be as much water. It's going to be exactly the same. And also what happens too, if you have like the same value here and you wait for it to dry and then you do the same color on top, it actually gets darker because of even with the same. So we are actually getting wet on dry, but with the same color, it does go darker. So let's try to shoot for those patterns. They're wiggly patterns and they're really sharp edges. I'm going to start from where I'm going to start from. It's actually probably easier right here, right in here. And that's, yeah, it's really, I'm going to really go dark. This dark pattern here, there's one stripe here, and I'm just getting the feel of it and then trying to keep my light. There's another one here. Let's go back and get some more paint. Well, we're going to have to go darker. That's actually pretty dark right there. There's this here. There's this whole stroke right here. Actually, ooh, look at that one. I see this pattern here. This pattern here. This pattern right there. And it's swiggly, so you don't have to worry about making it straight. Actually, you can actually go back in there and wiggle it just a little bit. Wiggle it just a little bit. I'm seeing this pattern here. I'm trying to capture what I see. That one right there. Yeah, there's this whole line right in there. Boom. Goes in there. There's a little bit of a line right there, shape right there, line over the top. All right, that's done right there. Let's keep going down. This next one is right in here, attached. This shape here. There's my E. This one right here comes in there. There's little holes in it. Try to keep the holes. I'm just drawing what I see in this area right here. This is this area here. And that's a lot of detail. There we go. Bring this thin part over. Really thin line right in there. There's another one. Little swiggles, a little thinner. Noticing the thickness of the line, how thin and thick. This one's thinner. And it stops right in there. And then even almost, yeah, here we go. Getting these little patterns. There's reflections of dark. It could be a tree. No, what? There's something above it. It's reflecting something above it. Could be a tree. Could be something above, or just the depth of the water. I don't know. By the looks of the ore on the bottom, it's probably a reflection of a tree. Okay, I'm trying to see the pattern in here. As it comes down, there's this whole area right here as like ripple that's down here. It's just back and forth. I'll just get the feel of it. I know it's kind of like back and forth in here. It's pretty dark. Oops. And it's more linear in here. It's a lot more linear. This ripple, and even on its own right here. Oops. It's bunching up. I'm looking back and forth and trying to draw what I see. Trying to capture that. Try to capture that sharp edge right there. Oops. I think it's all good. See, there's this like pattern of darkness here going up that way. And then here's another one coming down this way, like right in here, like this, right in there. Now I can break that up this other one, this other kind of like, and it's coming down this way. It's like a wave crossed by another wave, and I just lost some of the lights in there. It's all right. Yeah, I think once I'm done with this, we'll call it a day. It's already 9. And then we'll continue next week with the rest of this. Yeah. Should probably call it a day here. All right, we're trying to capture the area, the pattern of this dart. You can see here this like E shape, or the S that I kind of mentioned, and I'm capturing that S. I'm doing this is the inside of that S, and I can see this top part. Okay, so if you notice that, and then here would be the other one, the other ripple that's coming down to this side of the ore here, this S. Notice how it fits. Notice the size. Here I'm just getting this dark. And then these other shapes with the same dark shape, this other value here. We go. And it's coming along, actually. It's looking pretty good, I think, in my own opinion. And that actually doesn't matter. What's important is just enjoying the journey and knowing the process. What's important is the process, understanding the process. That's what's important. Process, not perfection. What's the process? What came first? What came second? So when you do it on your own, like, okay, what am I going to do first? That's the process. That's what's important. And then, you know, with progress, with practice comes progress. Yeah. I'm going to go darker in here. I can go darker by actually going on top again, bringing this darker. Dark in there. While I'm looking at it, I can probably mix some more. All right, hardcore heroes. Mix some more paint. All right, so we'll continue this next week.
Can you show the paddle one more time so I can take a picture of it?
Sure. All right, and I can put I can put it in the chat. Yeah, let me put this. Ah, Maya, you were here. I didn't see your name. All right, there's the link, and then let me go share my screen. Ooh, it's getting warm here. There it is. There's the, if you want to take a quick picture.
Thanks.
Oh, you're
Boy, that really looks green when you held it up close like that.
yeah. Oh, this one or
Yeah, the water looks really green.
Let's see. Stop sharing. There we go. Yeah, we're just using it as a and getting this pattern, seeing the patterns, the turbulence. Here, I'm breaking this up again here now. There's other little shapes. There we go. Try to get these other little shapes on top of that big shape. So, oh, the one I want to do is the ore. Once we get down here, the reflections of the ore. Value of this. And then it blends out up here. Kind of gets lost. It's a little lighter. Just dark areas in here. Yeah, down here, this is a little bit of darkness on that. And then the ore, the reflection, especially the reflection of this ore, is right in here. Crazy ripple shape. It's really dark and it's really curvy. Those. And then there's a reflection of that boat. Let's see. Try to get that reflection of that boat nice right there, and then blend that into my, there we go. Up. Trying to see that reflection. So reflection is what I'm trying to get. And it continues above the oar. Right there, continuity, overlapping. There's a couple little dots. There's one right here, a little bit smaller. This dark color. Oh, well, that looks good. There's this whole other ripple right in here I'm missing. Bring that ripple in here. We're almost done. I'm almost done for today. Get this dark ripple in here. Okay, so like right in here, this little circle. Let's see if I can capture that shape. And then here it ripples out, but I'm gonna create a line by using other lines. Watch this. So I'm gonna create this line by using these other lines going in a different direction, kind of like this, like that. And then up here, it's actually pretty straight, but I just wanted to make that point. I'm making this line, but it's these strokes going in this direction. Kind of back up in here, and then there's dots. There's dots where this kind of pattern continues up this way. There we go. Darker color. Get some darker dots in here also. That part of that ripple. Ripple. And then go back in there, see if I can accent some stuff, darken some things, look around. I'm looking around my whole painting here. See how it looks. It looks pretty decent. I can soften some stuff up. It's all right. Darken some things. Another little coat. A little more curve right here. Soften that one up. Yeah, this is not easy. This is not an easy thing to do. This is not beginner. So if you're struggling, that's okay. Stick with the struggle. It's about the struggle. You know, how bad do you want to learn? Sometimes you gotta, you know, then you really appreciate, oh, okay, I appreciate what I went through, the battles I've battled, the things I had to figure out. And what's important is the process. It's not about perfection. Say, okay, next time, light colors, light to dark, back to front. How am I doing this? What's my approach? And then kind of plan it out, you know. And then you, okay, next time I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do that first, right? Right. And then you learn. But in general, usually light to dark and back to front. Even with acrylics. Because just imagine painting a tree. You paint a tree, make it really nice, and then you have to paint the sky. Well, you're gonna have to go in between the branches to you know, that took some planning and forethought, like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to paint the sky. But if you paint the sky first, and then on top of that, paint the branches, and don't have to worry about painting in between the branches, right? Because you already did the sky. So order and planning and approach is important. You know, sequence. What is the sequence? All right. I think it's looking pretty good. I can go back in here and push some things. This is where looking back and forth and almost like drawing or shading with my brush kind of goes, because I can blend some of these dark areas, but I won't get too fancy. I think that's it. That's it. Try to get the feel of it, looking back and forth, saying, okay, kind of got it. We can probably go a little darker. I'm looking at it. I can probably go a little bit darker if I wanted to up in here. push that a little bit darker because it does go pretty dark up in here. So I'd probably put a little more blue. Get a dark blue in here. Let's see if we can go push a little more blue. And while it's still kind of wet, that's just that area. I can actually put a little bit of blue in here, make that area darker. Maybe a little bit of green. And then just blend that. See, I'm going darker in here. And I can blend that just by adding water, but just focusing on the darks, but making it blend. Because it is darker actually up in here. Just trying to capture that rhythm, that motion. All right. I hate to leave this halfway, but that's the way it goes. I don't know. I don't want to, you know, some people have to, I know, I don't know. What time is it where you're at, Yelena? Is this mic on? Hello? Oh, Yelena, would you like to share? I see your hand up. Is this mic on? Hello? Judy's hanging in there. Lisa's hanging in there. We're down to 5. We lost another person. Yelena has her hand up, but I'm going to lower your hand. Maybe she fell asleep. I'll keep my painting there. It's seeing the patterns and then trying to, you know, not to draw the pattern. It's kind of interesting. You see that, because then you like this S that's in there, but that S is just, you know, what we kind of see, but then there's other stuff that breaks that S up, that E and how it all fits. Hopefully that helped. Some of these up there. You know, we can actually see, I can actually, with a little bit of water, push this a little bit more, bring some areas darker. Bring some of this area up here darker. Actually, just with water, bring some of that. So there's more contrast on the top, from the top of our ore. And all I'm just doing is just straight water, pulling some of the color out from some places, pulling it out. So just making it just a little darker. I know the top, I want some contrast for the top of that ore, and then just use that, bring that back. Pushing that back a little bit more. There we go. We want some contrast. Some areas, soften that one up. All right. I don't know if everybody fell asleep or I'm Bob Ross, put everybody to sleep. Let's paint some.
Yeah.
I'm here. I want to paint that orange really badly.
Oh yeah, huh? It's like, oh, it's I know. I can't wait a week.
I took a picture. I might finish it tomorrow. I've been on Zoom since 8 this morning.
Oh my gosh.
Just different ones, you know. I take a watercolor class and a Zoom and a Zentangle class and other things. So.
Oh really? You're doing a Zentangle class? Nice.
Yeah.
Just don't become a zombie.
A zombie? Oh yeah, that's how I feel right now. My friends are saying you're getting a little manic about this.
Yeah. That's all good. It brings us closer, but it does. It's an interesting technology. Interesting world we live in now. It's all about adaptability. It's all about adaptability. That's what I try to. The water panel is like lovely. You're welcome. Yeah, it's the patterns, all the patterns. Seeing the patterns and then breaking the patterns. Because there's turbulence. Yeah. All right.
I don't think I have enough white in mine.
White?
You know, the light colors.
Ah,
I
the
need
light.
to paint the blend more.
Yeah, it's and that takes some practice. I think we didn't do any value scales. I didn't do any of the intro stuff. All right, Regina, good night. You're welcome. Yeah, we didn't do any of the intro stuff. So yeah, I mean, it would be good to do a value scale and have control over it. Okay, see, you know, how much more water, see if you can actually, you know, but sometimes just learning by doing too. Just the thing is not to Oh, let me share my screen. I don't know how many people got left here. We got 4 down to 4. Yeah, we'll call it a minute. Yeah, there's new stuff that's on my website. Let me see. Actually, I'll share it again, I guess, next week. But I'll share it with you guys, guys and gals, or ladies actually. Ooh, guys and gals.
What I did this afternoon, my mermaid watercolor.
Oh, oh my gosh. Oh shoot. Let's see.
So I did use my red. I guess it's still on my palette.
Oh, I
Right.
see. Wow, and that's watercolor. Wow, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Very nice. Sweet. Yeah, you're blending. That's your next step. Your gradients.
Yeah.
The
See,
actual there you go.
it's a little too dark and there's not enough light in there. So
I
I
see
guess,
what you're doing. Yeah. There's your ore. Oh, you even got the shadows going in already. But that's
Um,
good. We're working from light to dark. So you can did you say it was too dark?
I think it's too dark. Some of these are just, I don't see enough white in there. Like you had so many white spots and stuff.
Yeah, the white spots. Yeah. That comes with time. Seeing the patterns too.
But I might be able to use more water and lighten it up. But I have a hairdryer right here, so.
And it's all relative too. Sometimes by going darker, your lights get lighter.
Yeah, that's true. My lights are lighter because
Yeah,
I'm
your
dark.
lights get lighter as you get your darker and leave your lights alone. It actually, yeah,
That's
it
true.
is relative. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, once the ore's going, you'll be able to know what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll give it a big hint, a big clue. Right. Okay, we're gonna call it a night unless anybody has questions, or we're down to the last 3. Or if you want to show your work, thank you for sharing, Judy. And we got badges to make. So we got our first ratios, and then you'll have your wrap badge once you get your angle test.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
somebody's sharing. Oh, Yelena's sharing. Hold on. And I wanted to. There we go. There you go. Oh wow, there you go. That really. Yeah. Nice.
The boat did not work.
The what? Oh, the
The
water. Yeah.
boat.
The
the
boat. It's
boat.
okay.
Okay, thank you. I think
right.
it's a good night or good morning.
It looks lovely. Good job.
Okay, see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eladia. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is what I got.
Oh.
I messed up.
Where?
Well, I put too much color here, and so then I tried to blot out the
No. Actually, no, you can actually go darker.
go darker. Okay, because the way that you were doing with the circle, I couldn't see that on
Oh,
the one, and then, yeah. So, but
you
yeah,
can still go darker on top of that.
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
the darker, yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you. Very great fun time.
You're welcome. Water fun.
Good night. Great teacher.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Well, thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.